Hello and welcome to Celtic State of Mind on Christmas Eve. In match preview for Celtic versus St Johnstone, tonight we've got myself, Sean Connolly from Celtic Down Under, guest hosting on Acsom, and we've got my namesake Lawrence Connolly joining us from Scotland. Lawrence, how are you?
Yeah, doing well. Looking forward to more Ange Ball.
How's the weather there? I am absolutely sweating down here.
Same here, mate. It's off tropical. It's about, I don't know, 7 or 8 degrees. So yeah, it's absolutely. It was -7. It's now up at 7 or 8. So happy days.
For anyone that doesn't know, I'm in Perth, Western Australia, and it is about 29 degrees when I go to bed at night, and it is absolutely a struggle to get any sleep. I've decided to wear my away strip today in solidarity with Celtic and St Johnstone, who will be partaking in the No Home Kits initiative aimed at highlighting the plight of the homeless at the festive season. Are you aware of this, Lawrence?
Yeah, that's why we're wearing the away kit. So yeah, great initiative to draw attention to it. I think over in the UK there's one town, Watford's got rid of all their homeless off the street, and maybe kind of more councils could be looking at, what Watford have done and being a bit more proactive and reaching out and helping people and giving them supported accommodation at different levels as they go through their struggles.
As long as they're doing it in a positive way and not just shifting them on to somewhere else. I believe other countries like Finland have done that, where they've just given every homeless person accommodation just without any question, like regardless of background. And then hopefully there'll be a time in the future where there's no need for charities like shelter and no need for initiatives like the sleepover.
It was amazing it could be done in COVID as soon as they thought there might be a danger to themselves. But, all of a sudden homeless people were put in hotels and given accommodation. But, as soon as that danger's over to say the more fortunate in society, perceived danger's over, that support was withdrawn. So maybe it's not a financial thing then if they could do it then, but who knows. But anyway, back to today. Celtic St Johnstone were 16 out of 17 wins, going for 17 out of 18.
Yep, that's it, mate, and we're absolutely on fire. And I've just chucked up the lineup there that Marquis has been kind enough to share. And it's a bit of a head scratcher, to be honest. The guy on Twitter that does the graphics for Celtic is just done it in squad number order because he's not quite sure quite what's going on. Lawrence, what do you make of it?
I think it's Hatate at right back. He played there in Japan. I think when he came over, we were told he could play full back or midfield. I don't think it's a formation change. Who would your back three be? I think Taylor's probably too small to be in a back three. I just don't think that would work. So, yeah, I think it's the same formation as normal, and Hatate is going to be your guy at right back.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out myself, and I was like, 3-6-1? Is it going to be 3-5-2 with Forrest up front? Why would Giakoumakis be on the bench at that point? I couldn't quite suss it out myself, but then one of the boys in the chat said Hatate at right back, and that actually does make sense. Which I guess means the question then is, presumably at that point, Adam Moy is going to be playing number 8 and Callum McGregor in the number 6 with O'Reilly in the number 10. What do you reckon that's how it's going to play out?
Yeah, and throughout the game, it can be pretty fluid between McGregor and Moy. They can both play both positions. So, but yeah, I think that's what we'll do. I don't think there's any major surprises in midfield to have McGregor anchoring it again. But if needs be, you can push on. If we need to change things up and drop Moy back, depending on how the game's going.
Mm-hmm. I think since
Jamesy back, performing these cameos, so be interested to see what he does from kickoff.
I'm sure he'll feel hard done by to have been dropped from the team after scoring a hat trick. I forget who it was against now. But he scored that hat trick in the home game, and now he's back in the team. And I'm sure there'll be some eyebrows raised at Abada being out of the team. Do you think that's simply down to rotation, given that he by most
I think that's down to Ralston being injured. I think think, although Hatate's played full back, he's going to be a bit rusty. It's a while since he's played there. So I think Maeda will probably he gives more defensively, so I'd expect maybe Maeda to be over on the right and covering up and giving that kind of extra support to Hatate full back. I don't, I think Abada's unlucky to be dropped. I think if Ralston been fit, I think Abada would have kept his place. So I think it's down to us being a little bit weaker at right back than expected, just due to injuries, and I think that's why Abada's dropped out of the team. I don't think he's as effective defensively as either Forrest or Hatate.
It's a bit wild that just a few weeks ago we were looking at it and thinking, oh my goodness, we've got 3 right backs. What are we going to do? This is crazy. And now we're a couple of weeks later, and we don't have a right back available. Do you think? What do you think? Is there a case for making the argument that I believe it's young McPherson, is that his name? The right back in the B team should be getting the call up on this occasion, or do you think the occasion is too big?
Yeah, I think it's too big a jump just now. You know, we've got someone that's up to speed with the team that can play right back. You know, in Hatate. Arguably, you know, even before him, you could have moved Taylor over to right back and played Berardi at left back. So yeah, I think it's too big a jump for the B team player to come in at the moment. So yeah, you know, Hatate, having played there on numerous occasions, it's an easy decision to make.
How do you think Taylor did for 35 to 40 minutes at right back against Livingston?
Well, listen, it was okay. I actually thought Taylor was a wee bit, you know, over the 90 minutes he was a bit slacker than normal. You know, he could have done better for the goal, he had a couple of stray passes, but yeah, he was okay, but he's not as effective there as he is at left back. You know, so you know, we've got a player that's played right back, playing right back. You know, Hatate, excellent player. It allows us to play Taylor at left back. It just seems a really easy decision for me. You know, listen, I could be proved wrong by, you know, a few minutes when we kick off and there's someone else at right back and it's a formation change. But for me, you're looking at go right. There's Hatate can play right back. We need a right back. Drop him in. Let's not, you know, mess anything else up in the team.
512 in the comments has suggested it must be Moy at right back. I'm not quite sure where he's getting that idea from. And we've got another point from Mr. Freeland, who's pointed out that it was just approximately a year ago where we started Joey Dawson versus St Johnstone.
Yeah.
And so,
but we didn't have an option of another forward to start in place of Dawson at the time, so it's not like apples with apples there, is it? You know, we've got a right back that can, a player that's played right back in his career numerous occasions that can start at right back as a first team player. At the time, you know, we were bereft of options up front, so I think it's kind of a different situation. We were really down to the bare bones of the squad when Dawson came in. You know, there was some, you know, we almost limped to the halfway mark last season with the amount of injuries and how threadbare the squad was. So I think that's why Dawson got his chance. He came in, he didn't like settle down, you know, he was solid enough, but he didn't do enough that, you know, I've seen that much of him again. So yeah, I think it was different then, you know, we didn't have the options up front. Just now we've got an option with a right back than Hatate. That's easy decision for Ange, I reckon.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that St Johnstone game was the last time we went with a back three. I think there's been one or two other moments we've gone with two up front, but I believe that was the last time we went with a back three in a 3-5-2 formation. What do you reckon? Was that right? Am I misremembering?
No, I think so. But, you know, I think a lot of that was just out of personnel available at that time. You know, I think it was dictated that we need to change here. This is what we've got available. And this is the best team we can put out, and I think this is kind of what we're doing here. You know, this is the best team we've got available. It's a formation all the players are familiar with, so it shouldn't disrupt us too much. I mean, the only disruption I can see for us is going to be a technology one, or the implementation of technology, should I say. You know, obviously the technology works well everywhere. It's just in Scotland the implementation seems a bit unbalanced, you know. VAR's brought in to kind of tip the scales of justice in favour of fairness. Just, you know, not enough in Scotland with the way the kind of the bias in the decision making, or the apparent bias in the decision making. So that's my only worry. You know, I'm not worried about Hatate at right back, but McGregor or Moy, you know, playing further forward, and number one is, you know, further back. Both can do it. So yeah, I think that's my worry today is VAR, but Ange's got them, almost an unstoppable force, 16 out of 17.
Mhm.
So the only worry for me is a technology one.
Yeah, that's obviously quite a hot topic at the moment with how VR is being used, or in some cases not being used. Uh, they did a recent study in England on a review of VR, and they've obviously had it for longer than us. But depending on how you kind of work the numbers, it was coming out about 90% success rate for decisions. My kind of thinking in that was, are there some things where referees are using it as a crutch, where they're not committing to decisions that they would otherwise, and that's why VR is then coming in? How much is that being accounted for, or are we just saying, do you know what I mean? Like, is there some decisions where referees are not calling where they would have called on instinct before without VR, but now they're kind of using that crutch?
That's definitely the case. That's the kind of purpose, with the offside and the goals. You let it play, and then you call it back and review it, and tip it, and make the correct decision with the luxury of time and multiple camera angles. But I suppose, who defines successful implementation of VAR in Scotland? Is it Scottish referees? Would you trust them? We know their head of refereeing was sacked. Is it the SFA? Well, we know why their president was sacked in the past. So, who defines what success is? But there's certainly numerous instances that haven't been looked at, that are subjective in penalty boxes, that VAR's might be looking at. I mean, I think the Hibs manager was commentating in the papers on that today.
On the VAR?
Yeah, the game at Ibrox, he was saying, it's something that should went to VAR. It's a penalty. They might not have scored it. They might have scored it. They might have went 3-1 up. If they did, it's a completely different game.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't reviewed, much like decisions last night. Another potential penalty, or, against Aberdeen, another potential handball in the lead up to the winning goal for the Rangers. But that's 3 games, 3 decisions not reviewed. Arguably, each decision not being reviewed has been worth 2 points swing. So, potential 6-point swing there.
Yeah.
On just refusing to review decisions or refusing to use VAR.
And the Livingston one was even more bizarre, because not only were they using it to have a second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth and seventh look at it, they were using it to then it felt like they were talking themselves into how they could. They were looking for a reason to disallow the Celtic goal when they're supposed to be looking for clear and obvious errors. And in the end, they've kind of gone with a bizarre interpretation of the offside rule, which I've never seen before, whereby they've decided that it was a deflection off the Livingston defender somehow, when even though he moves towards the ball in every manner possible, is making an action towards the ball, and then they've somehow, with all those reviewings, interpreted that as a deflection, as a non-deliberate action towards the ball.
It's bizarre, as you say, 4 minutes to spot something that's clear and obvious. It just begs the question, how clear and obvious is it if it takes 4 minutes? I would say that, well, it's not clear and obvious, so you shouldn't be using it then. It's only for clear and obvious, and if it's 4 minutes, it's not clear and obvious. But, what did we expect? It's simply honest mistakes and steroids, as far as I can see.
Yeah, it's quite an experience for us up here, and I'm not particularly enjoying it so far, to be totally honest. But when you compare and contrast to how it was implemented at the World Cup, that's a kind of model of a successful VAR use. But what the World Cup has is world-class referees, which we have nowhere near that kind of thing going on.
Yeah, I mean, if you're running Scottish refereeing, Scottish referees, they're obviously taking pelters, but there's no denial that, from the outside, that the quality is fallen. They're no longer getting invited to the big table, do they? So surely you'd be alarmed by that. You'd look at say, well, why is the quality falling? Did they get through the same training courses? Or imagine it'd be at least the same, if not improved training courses. So so what is it? Well, people can see the decisions you're making. That's what you're judged on. And if there's something about your decision making that's not right, surely you should be having a kind of discussion about that amongst yourself and go, look, there's something here about our decision making that makes us bad referees. What is it?
Yeah. And just to kind of reinforce your point there, our putative number one referee, Bobby Madden, went down to England, and I believe he's struggling to get out of League 1 and 2. But to kind of flip back to Celtic, and something that's coming up repeatedly here in the comments, I'll just highlight some of the comments. Connor Rowan, it's pathetic that Kyogo keeps starting, even though he's ranked rotten at the minute. Kaiser, our contributor, would always start with Kyogo. He's a sophisticated lock pick. GG is a battering ram. Mr. Freeland, love GG, but he's 100% replaceable and with better players. And Red Scotland, I'm a wee bit annoyed at the moment of GG and getting sick of the sight of Kyogo in the hoops. So it seems to be quite a divisive issue at the moment between who should be our starting frontman today or in any other occasion. What do you reckon on that, on those comments, Lawrence?
Well, it's none of them setting the heather on fire just now, but Kyogo's 11 goals and 15 starts. Maybe not, as bad a record as all that, is it? 11 and 15. It's a pretty decent record. Giakoumakis, he's not getting as much time in the park, but I tell you what, when he's come on the park, he's not doing anything spectacular, is he? He's not saying this jersey's mine, you're not taking it away from him. I mean, look at James even he got his hat-trick. That's a boy saying, "Yeah, play me," Mm-hmm. Or when Abada's coming on, creating chances, scoring goals. That's a boy saying, "Look, you're making it hard to drop me." Although I think he's been dropped due to injury right back today, but I don't see Giakoumakis doing that kind of thing. That's saying, "Well, look, getting a couple in a game or I'm making it impossible for you not to start me." He's saying, "Well, I'm coming on and I'm doing all right, but am I doing more than all right?" I mean, I thought so. Is he better than 11 and 15 that Kyogo's got just now? No, he's not. But, I just came out and said, look, I picked the team based on opposition as well. He obviously feels Kyogo's got the best chance of leading that line and scoring goals or setting them up for someone else. I don't think Ange's going to be best placed about Giakoumakis' Instagram image, whatever it's going to mean. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure he's had a discussion with him. I'm sure he would have called him in and said, look, what's this all about? If you've got a problem, speak to me. Don't be put it in on Instagram. And these rumours that he wants to move, we'd have probably asked him about this. Is there any truth in this? Is your agent trying to drum up a move for you? So, all in all, I don't. At this thing, I can see maybe why he's not flavouring a month with Angans. He likes players who want to be here and who are happy. I can understand. Why he's not happy that he's not playing. But let's see, he's been on a part 15 times, 6 goals, is it? One assist or something.
I don't have the numbers handy, but it's obviously we can break down the numbers, and I think that's part of the kind of main contention is that we all feel that either of them should be doing better than they are based on the kind of chances you and I are just sitting here twiddling our thumbs and talking nonsense, but based on players like Jota and Abada and Ralston setting up, getting the ball into dangerous areas, that the consensus is that these strikers should be doing a little bit better. My personal feeling was when Kyogo missed that sitter during the Aberdeen game, that kind of stacked on top of the sitter he missed in the Everton friendly, where I was sitting in the stands in Sydney, and it kind of I lost a lot of faith at that point in Kyogo. I still love him. I still think he's well above any other striker in the SPFL, and I think he does a great job for us in Scotland. But in that moment, it occurs to me that if we want to be doing better in the Champions League, which should be our next goal, then we probably need an upgrade at that position. What do you reckon?
Yeah, but listen, the numbers don't lie. Was it 2 or 83 chances Champions League? We scored 3 and get 1 home goal. In Scotland, I think there's about 60 chances over the last few games. Not a lot of goals to in return for that, we don't score a high enough percentage of chances. Against Libya, that first half, how often did that ball flash along the 6-yard box? Now, whether you're, the lead striker or you're playing in the wing and you're coming in to make up a second striker, you've got to be there. You've got to bust. You've got to be there and get something on the ball and make the defender play it. You're not always going to get there, but suddenly you should always not be there. And we're just not getting there enough. And, whoever's putting the ball in across that box, he's done his job. You kind of know that's where he's going to put it. It's not a secret. They'll work on this stuff in training, saying, look, we're going to give the ball to him. He's going to try and beat his man. He's going to fire it across that 6-yard box, get in the end there. And I think that's more or less, what Andy's comments and the press were saying afterwards. So, yeah, they do need to. For me, yeah, I would expect us to see he's bringing a higher calibre striker. I know we've been linked with the South Korean boy, but hopefully Tosh and team have a few strikers, on the horizon. Because if Giakoumakis wants to go, it would put us down to just Kyogo up front. We saw last season when both Kyogo and Giakoumakis were injured. Dawson came in. I think we're too light in the striking department anyway. And maybe part of their performance is both of them know they'll get minutes each week. We're not going to get left out altogether. There's no real pressure on them not getting minutes. It's a bit more congested in midfield. You've really got to perform or you will get left out. How long was Forrest out for? Because the guys in front of him were performing. They knew if they didn't, they would be out of the team. It'd be hard to get back in or hard to get minutes in the park. I think Giakoumakis and Kyogo's not really faced that pressure so far.
Yeah, that's fair. And then I believe Brendan Rodgers went through a season with 2 strikers, and then after that vowed that he needed 3, and that was where Edward kind of came into the team initially as a loan signing, so that we did have that Dembele, Griffiths, Edward rotation, which did cover us for injuries and the sorts. Just to quickly change the subject for a moment and talk about our opposition today. St Johnstone are unbeaten in their last 6 games, of which they have won 4, one against the good ship Sevco. And if my reading of the stats is correct. But what seems to be happening recently, and looking at our form, we've had 5 close wins in a row. Yeah, it's great that we've got 15 out of 16 wins and 10 league wins on the bounce. Again, going off the top of my head, I haven't actually verified that. But what seems to be happening is no matter how much form a team is in, no matter how much praise Aberdeen are getting for their attacking football at home, when they come up against us at the moment, it's just all hands on deck, park the bus, negative football. And the last 2 games have been not what I would call entertaining. Now, football in December is regularly unentertaining anyway because of the weather. But what do you make of it? What's going to happen today? How are St Johnstone going to play? They're in great form. Are they going to have a go, or is it just going to be the same as the last 2 games? Bus parked and Celtic players having to be trying to thread the eye of a needle. What do you reckon?
Every opposition manager's kind of got to do what he thinks is best. Get a responsibility to try and get points out of the game. And what's best that if St Johnstone just opened up and tried to play football against us, I don't think there's any chance of them getting points. And I think that's the conclusion that Jim Goodwin came to it and Martindale have come to it. So they play more defensively against us. Did they go too far? Well, Jim Goodwin was 5 minutes away from being a hero and taking a point, with his tactics. So he'd maybe reflect on that and go, well, almost worked a bit concentrated, taking a cracking goal from Cal McGregor to open it up. Aberdeen were very good defensively. Levy, we're hard to break down, but we got a lot more chances. I'd say that was really down to our strikers not being in form. So I think St Johnstone will sit deep. If they've any sense in Scotland, they'll throw balls into our box when they get a chance and hope it comes off a Celtic player's hand, because we know what the decision will be on that. It's just ridiculous now. Maybe balls come from behind him, hits his arm. Matt Riley, comes off his thigh and onto his arm. Well, I thought by the director, that's not a penalty then, But in Scotland, with the luxury of time to review the decision, and they could even Google the rules if they wanted, they decided, it's penalty against. So since VAR comes in, a really high number of penalties awarded against Celtic. So if you're the opposition manager, you're going to look at that and go, you know what, that's probably a real cracking chance for us to get a shot on target. More likely than not, you should score a pen. So yeah, I think we'll sit deep. When they do get the ball, they'll play for a set piece to throw it into the box. I don't think there's any shock in that though.
Yeah, and look, they did it. If they play the same way they did against Sevco, then it's going to be the same way that Aberdeen set up against us, which is two players up front, which you can call strikers if you want, but more so just two out balls, I would call it, rather than two strikers, is the kind of system. And as you say, if one of the boys can get a turn and a run, then he's into the final third with nobody else in support, and he's just looking for a free kick at that point, which is what these teams are doing against us. Livingston, I don't want to talk, the long ball goal that they scored probably doesn't merit any comparison, but that's kind of their system. Just before we're about to kick off in a few minutes, so just before we do, can we get some predictions from you, Lawrence? What do you think the score is going to be? What kind of players are you expecting to stand out today?
So I'm expecting James to stand out. I think he's going to be delighted to be starting. The players will have had a rock off. Angie wasn't happy. You know, it's not often you see him in the press that unhappy with the players' performance. I'm hoping that the goals maybe giving Kyogo back some of his confidence. But yeah, I'm expecting James to be key, and hopefully a goal from Kyogo. I'd expect 2 or 3-0 today.
Oh well, look, we've not had a comfortable win in a while, so that'd be nice. And I remember there was a spell where for maybe the first 10 games of the season, some 10-12 games, where if we managed to score in the first 25 minutes, then the game was a bit of a cakewalk at that point, and you'd be on the kind of Michael Ross prediction here of 4-0, 3-0 to the hoops. And I was regularly kind of cashing in on that via the bookies. I'm just seeing in our chat here that Ange confirmed that Satati at right back, which will also be interesting. But yeah,
listen, the comfortable wins. If they implemented the decision right against Livy, it'd be a 3-1 win, and there would be none of this chat about we're struggling. You know, part of the reason the wins aren't comfortable is because of the way decisions have been implemented against us. Yeah, you know, our rules have been interpreted differently. You know, if you beat Livy 3-1, you go, another easy win for Celtic, never really in danger. It's December, it's all about getting the 3 points, get to the turn of the year, you know, they're in good form, you know, for the running. But so a lot of it is down to that. And obviously, Rangers are picking up points, but in those last 3 games, the decisions that could cost them points, in every single game, don't even get referred to VAR. So there's potentially 6 points there. Mm-hmm. You know, if not more. So the gap could really have been, instead of 9, it could have been 15 or 12 going in today. If we win, it could be going to 15. So these aren't really down to performances. These are down to how the technology has been implemented or not implemented. And then there was a refusal to review some decisions.
And you know, we've always felt like we were playing against 12 men, and now it's 13. And look, that's a handicap against us, but it's something that we have always risen to, and hopefully will continue to rise to, including today. So we'll start kind of wrap broadcast there, and I gather some people in Scotland will be watching this on pay-per-view. I believe this is one of the 5 per year, which is available to pay individually. I'll be tuning in on Celtic TV, being that I'm outside the UK and Ireland. Lawrence, I'm not going to ask you publicly how you're watching it. I'll ask you off air. Hail, and hopefully join us back at halftime for what has hopefully been an enjoyable 45 minutes.